It's the start of winter. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's a great time to be in the garden. So firstly, it warms up your body and you feel great, and it just makes the day feel better if you're outside doing something. It's also a really good time to get on top of all those jobs that have been neglected through the year. So I always say here in the subtropics we have 2 seasons. We have an in-control season, which is autumn and winter when you get things under control, and we have an out-of-control season, which is spring and summer, which is the growing season when we get a lot of rain and it's very hard to keep up on the maintenance. So here's a pretty good example of something that's got out of control. This is a Citron citrus, and you can see the rootstock are just taking over the tree. And if we leave this like this, these rootstock are actually going to dominate the plant, and we risk losing our graft and our citron tree dying, and what we're going to get left with is a trifoliata. So this is the trifoliata, which is the rootstock that our citron's grafted onto. And it's a very thorny plant. We choose this as a rootstock because it's hardy to heavy, wet soils. It's cold hardy, so it does better in cooler conditions. And it's a really vigorous plant, so it's perfect to graft citrus onto. But we do need to make sure we cut off all the suckers. And as you can see in the out of control season, this has been neglected. So we're going to get it back under control today. So what we need is some tools. Good pair of gardening gloves to protect my hands. I've got a pruning saw, and I've got some cutters, and I've got my secateurs, which are always on my hip. So you can't go wrong. Maintain your tools, keep them nice and sharp. We're ready to tackle this job. So here we have our same citron, or Buddha's hand tree as it's also called, after we've taken the rootstock out. And you can see what a completely different looking plant it is. So I've got my pile of rootstock behind me, and it was nearly the same volume as that tree. But the easiest way to do it is cut the top off, and that way it gets all the deadly spikes from your head height, and it makes them easier to actually take from the bottom or weave your way out of the existing tree, because you don't want to damage your plant. So what we can do now is we can do a bit of pruning, a bit of shaping to this plant, and then in a couple of weeks' time, once the weather starts to warm up, we're going to fertilise it. So you're not going to fertilise it in the dead of winter, but as soon as spring starts to show, you're going to give this tree a good, complete fertiliser, so a balanced NPK fertiliser. They're heavy feeders and they love it. So that's how to deal with your rootstock and get your trees back under control in the winter when you have some time and you want to be outside and getting warm in the garden.